Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Kalika and you're gonna be a better person after watching this video. Multilinguals, what's your "they didn't realize I could understand their language" story? I live in England, but I come from Poland and I'm fluent in Polish alongside English. A couple of days ago, I was ordering at a Subway when two Polish employees started talking. It went something along the lines of, "This fat ass wants chicken and bacon?" And they laughed. On a side note, I feel like that's not an uncommon of an order, right? When it got to putting vegetables on the sub, I gave my order fully in Polish with a big smile on my face. The order cost me $4.80, but the looks on their faces were priceless. I was solo travelling in Morocco. I'm 22 female and speak Arabic enough to understand conversations, basic words and phrases. I was trying on clothes at a small shop and there were two women helping me choose what to try on. They started talking about me in Arabic, saying how I would be a great wife for one of the lady's sons. They were going on, and as I was leaving I responded in Arabic, "No thank you, but I appreciate your help," and they were stunned. I'm a black American. My dad was military and stationed in Korea from his late teens to mid-20s. He picked up on the language and as a child he taught me. It was like our secret language to talk around my mum with. She hated it. Anyway, I went to college with a large Asian population. While me and some friends were in a study room, a group of students came and asked us to leave so they could use the room in English. There was no time limit, no sign up, no nothing where they had that right. So I explained that we were here first, why do they want this particular room? Then they started speaking Korean and said something along the lines of, "Ugh, of course this black witch is being difficult. They've been here for a while, they need to leave. Maybe we can lie and say the professor reserved it." I responded in Korean, "Call me a witch in English so I can punch you and everyone in this room knows why." Their faces turned bright red. They couldn't say anything, they just looked at me in shock and then left the room. Was a high school student in Toronto, but I speak Slovak, which is similar to Czech and Polish. I was going to school on the subway in the morning and two good-looking women started to talk in Polish right next to me. I usually like to strike up conversations with fellow Central Eastern Europeans. Unfortunately, they started talking about how one of them has a burning pee problem. With nowhere to move on the packed subway and no headphones, it was an awkward thing for a 15-year-old to hear from two ladies. It got a little worse later when they started to talk about women problems. Now, I have no issues with that conversation nowadays, of course, but 15-year-old virgin me was a bit mortified. It was a long 45 minutes. When I was doing my exchange studies in China, native Russian, I was riding a subway in Shanghai. At one of the stops, a mother and her daughter sat beside me. The daughter was maybe 4 or 5, and she wouldn't stop looking at me. Then, without turning her head, she started asking her mum, "Mummy, why is Mr. so strange? Why is his hair strange?" And so on. I didn't react as if I didn't speak Chinese, and the mother patiently told her daughter, "Mr. isn't strange, he's just a foreigner, they look different." I thought it was really sweet, so I started talking to both of them in Chinese. They were very nice, and I hope they're doing great now. My dad grew up in Egypt and now travels the word for Dole, the fruit company. Once he was in Morocco at a plant who were possible suppliers and they tried to deceive him. They showed him the safety guidelines that were written in Arabic, but were describing different standards in English. My dad doesn't look like a typical Middle Easterner and has a very nondescript accent, so they thought they could fleece him. After the dude was done talking, my dad says, "That's not what it says." And the guy says, "What do you mean?" My dad repeats the statement but in Arabic. The guy apparently dropped his jaw and all he could say was, "You speak Arabic?" Needless to say, that Moroccan plant did not get the gig. Well, my great aunt told a story of how she once went into a butcher shop. When she walked in, the butcher was talking with a customer in Russian, which she spoke. The butcher saw my great aunt walk in and told the customer in Russian that he'd take care of this old hag and then continue the conversation. So my great aunt in English asked for pounds and pounds of cold cuts, all sliced and wrapped. When it was all ready, she told him in Russian to shove it up your ass and walked out. God, I love that woman. I was on the subway in New York City a few months ago when a family sitting across from me was playing I Spy in Hebrew with their kids. The parents went around describing each person they saw on the train, so when they got to me, I decided to play along. I looked up from my book, made a funny face, and covered my face with the book before the kids could find me. The parents started laughing and said to their kids, "I spy someone who understands us." The parents and I shared a good laugh about it while their kids got really excited that someone else spoke Hebrew. They never figured out who it was, but it made my commute a lot more fun. I've posted this before, but I'll post it again. My husband is the bilingual one, not me. He's from Colombia, so he speaks Spanish fluently, but grew up in the US and has been here most of his life. He also has a really fair complexion. Most people think he's just Caucasian. Anyway, we were in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, looking for a place to eat. We get to a restaurant and I asked in English how much it would cost for all-you-can-eat tacos. The guy at the door said it's $15. His friend next to him said to the guy in Spanish, "I thought it was $12, and the first guy responded, "Yeah, but they don't know that." My husband of course understood everything. He told him in Spanish that they're lying rip-offs and would be going somewhere else. The guy's expression was priceless. I lived in Riga for a short while and went out almost every Friday night to meet girls. Riga has a lot of visitors from UK and I've spent a chunk of my time in the US, so I generally speak English in the centre. I feel more comfortable using it. However, I also speak Russian perfectly well. So I'm drinking a beer in a bar and all of a sudden some cute Russian girl comes up to me and starts speaking English to me. She invited me for a beer with her and her friend. I didn't really have anything else going for me that night, so I agreed. What followed is an hour of them trying to make me buy them a Dom Perignon bottle, and some really dirty talking about what one of them would do to me if I agreed. They also talked to the bartender, who knows me fairly well, how they're going to rip me off big time and that I'm a foreign idiot. I ended up buying them 4 beers total out of decency. It was a lot of fun for a while, I'll give them that. Eventually I got really tired of it all and my friend hit me up, so I just switched to Russian, thanked them for a nice evening and left. Their faces were red from embarrassment and anger. Oh well. Don't scam people. I live in Austria, but my dad is from Brazil. All my Austrian aunts and uncles married a Brazilian. My grandparents from my mother's side opened and led a factory of our family company in Brazil. That's why everyone was there. But some eventually came back to Austria, just like my mum with my dad. Me and my siblings were raised multilingual but lived most of our lives in Austria. So once when I was around 10, my mum and me were on a tram in Vienna with my little brother, who was around 2 at the time, in a stroller, and he starts crying, really loudly. Then one Brazilian lady starts speaking really loudly and in an obnoxious tone, something in the lines of, "Well, these European folks don't know how to treat their children with love. How can someone be so cold and unaffectionate to a child as to let them scream without taking them out of the stroller and holding them?" We were standing, by the way. There was no seat big enough at the time where we could leave the stroller. So I was getting worried we were doing something wrong. I wanted to comfort my brother and get him out, but my mum stopped me and really loudly said in Portuguese, "Leave him. It's too dangerous to take him out of the stroller while we're standing here and the tram is moving." You could see the woman's face go from red to white and back to red, get up and get out so fast at the next exit that we just started laughing and my brother ultimately calmed down. Not really exciting, but I find it funny when I think back. Background: I have a wedding ring tattoo and work in the adult industry. This actually happened a few weeks ago and was my first time ever catching someone talking crap about me in my second language. I was at the AVNs at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas, signing at the convention there and staying in a hotel suite. This is important to note because I had to wear skimpy booth babe uniforms to work each day. The maids came in one morning as I was finishing up getting ready and I told them to come in and do their thing. I was just about to leave. 2 women came in and started wiping down surfaces as I was lacing up my heels to go to the door. I guess one woman noticed my ring tattoo and said in Spanish that she couldn't believe my husband let me go out looking like this. She had no clue how any self-respecting wife would be in a place like this and how my husband must be so ashamed of me, that she'd kill her husband if she found videos of someone like me on his computer. Now, this line of logic isn't new to me, so I wasn't even particularly mad, but I waited to see if she had more to say. They more or less switched topics, and I continued to stay mute until I grabbed my purse and turned around as I was leaving to say, "Oh hey, could you leave me some extra towels?" in Spanish. They both whipped their heads around from making up the bed, and the woman doing the majority of the crap talking turned white as a sheet. She asked me if I spoke Spanish, and I responded with, "Yo viví en Mexico por 2 años, mamita." She immediately launches into a backpedaling stream of apologies and excuses, saying how I was just so beautiful, it's amazing your man is so secure, and begging me not to report her. I just laughed and said it was fine. My husband is in the business too, and we're both hot and slutty together. I told her I used to be a maid and got tired of blowing my nose and smelling Clorox. True. She laughed and I think maybe realised not all people who do sexy stuff for a living are a succubi that want to steal your man. We're just trying to make it by too. Hopefully it was a learning experience. But for real though, who talks crap in Spanish anymore? It's so common now. My girlfriend is Scottish. I'm Dutch. Her Dutch isn't good enough to hold full conversations yet, so we talk in English in public all the time. We went to Amsterdam to go sightseeing the first time she came over, with my dad meeting us there. A guy was talking to a friend about how us tourists were ruining his beautiful city. They were walking in the same direction we were, and they kept mocking us in Dutch. When I saw my dad, I greeted him in Dutch, and the 2 guys instantly took a turn into a store with red faces. Okay, so that's all for r/AskReddit. I really hope you did enjoy it. As always, if you do want to see more content like this, then please do subscribe. My Discord, Twitter, and Patreon links are in the description. Any support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!